Hello and welcome to the Ocean Steward Spotlight. My name is Samantha Siegel. I'm Oceana's Field Campaigns Manager based in Charleston, South Carolina. Our Ocean Steward Spotlight series hopes to highlight ocean stewards from diverse backgrounds, connecting more ocean lovers with stories that inspire them. Today we have a very special guest, Manjula Tiwari. She is the president of the Ocean Ecology Network, a nonprofit dedicated to science-based conservation strategies for global projects. She is also a conservation scientist affiliated with NOAA's Marine Turtle Ecology and Assessment Program in La Jolla, California, and a scientific and technical advisor to international sea turtle projects funded by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. With a focus on sea turtles, her projects cover a wide range of issues, including nesting, beach ecology, the impact of fisheries on turtle populations, and developing holistic conservation strategies in Africa, the Middle East, Asia, and the South Pacific. The local communities in the Turtle Islands of Sierra Leone have named a beach, Manjula Beach, in recognition of her efforts to conserve their sea turtles. Wow. That is quite amazing. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being with us today. We're just going to dive right in to the first question. Did you have a defining moment where you fell in love with the ocean?
Well, I'm not sure there was a precise moment, because since I was a little girl, I was really passionate about working with wildlife. And my father was in the tea business in northeastern India. And so in my early years, we traveled and lived on the tea estates in the foothills of the Himalayas. And I just loved the mountains, the wildlife, and the forests. And I still remember that I would count on my fingers all the things I could become when I grew up: wildlife filmmaker, zoologist, veterinarian. And then I was sent off to boarding school in Pondicherry, which is an ex-French territory on the southeast coast of India. And there I joined a diving group in the school and discovered the underwater life around the pillars of the local piers. And so I fell in love with the ocean. And while I still love the mountains, my career has ever since focused on marine issues.
I love that. Whenever someone asks, choose between mountains and ocean, I always choose ocean, but it is a tough choice.
It is a tough choice, absolutely.
Why can't we have both?
Exactly. That's why we live in California.
Exactly. I love it. So your research and advocacy have focused on sea turtles for much of your career, which everyone loves. What is it about these animals that led you to work with them for so long?
Well, I actually came to sea turtles accidentally, because after I completed my bachelor's degree, I decided to join a crocodile research facility in India called the Madras Crocodile Bank. And as a research assistant, I just loved the challenge of working with crocodiles, and I was looking forward to a career in crocodile biology. But at that time, this research facility was looking for somebody to do sea turtle surveys in the Nicobar Islands. And the Nicobar Islands belong to India, but they sit above Sumatra. And these islands, some of them had never been surveyed before. Some had been surveyed 10 years ago. And so I thought to myself, okay, I'll go and do that and then get back to crocodiles. And I was 21 at that time, and the Nicobars could not have been a more remote corner of the world. I surveyed the beaches. I learned how to wade across crocodile-infested creeks. I lived with the tribals and traveled with them to other remote areas. And I just experienced a very different world than the one I had grown up in. And this project actually defined my career, and I never went back to crocodiles.
Wow.
And interestingly, when local officials asked me about the work I had done, they would not believe that I had actually traveled to this area and collected the data. One, because I was a woman, and two, I had only a bachelor's degree. So that just made me even more determined to prove myself. And I ended up joining the Archikar Center for Sea Turtle Research at the University of Florida. Did my master's and PhD on sea turtles there, and have ever since been working on sea turtles, and it's 30 years now.
Wow. Wow. Wading through crocodile waters. Wow. I have a reoccurring dream that happens. And I've always been, obviously we have a lot of alligators here, but no
Yes.
crocodiles. So I would love to see a crocodile. I think they're dinosaurs, right? It's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. And, wading these creeks, wasn't, of course, was a little fearful.
Yeah.
And the locals would tell me, "Madam, don't worry, just take your soul and throw it over to the other side and cross the creek." And, the water would come up to your neck. And they said, "Nothing will touch you since your soul is waiting on the other side."
I love that. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What a cool story.
Yeah.
Whoa. So what motivated you to start your work with the Ocean Ecology Network?
I first created Ocean Ecology Network out of necessity, just to be able to do the global sea turtle work that I'm involved with, and also to receive funding for it. But the network component of the organization's name is important because integrating people into conservation and science-based management, building their capacity, and creating a global network for the exchange of ideas and collaborations is really at the heart of Ocean Ecology Network.
Wow. So, excuse me. So the Ocean Ecology Network operates under a philosophy that incorporates science, wisdom, patience, hope, and compassion, resulting in a balanced, holistic, and realistic approach that integrates people into conservation solutions. So can you speak a little bit more about that philosophy and why that why it's important that conservation integrates people and goes beyond science in its approach?
Well, conservation is more than science and biology. It is politics, psychology, religion, spirituality, international business, technology, sociology, economics, marketing, national, international law, history, culture, tradition, and so much, much more. And so Ocean Ecology's philosophy acknowledges this complexity and looks for conservation solutions that are balanced, holistic, and realistic within this very complex context. And really getting people to realize that welfare is at the heart of conservation and protection efforts is crucial to getting their buy-in, because after all, what affects people personally is really what brings about the greatest behavior change. And of course, the science is important, the research must continue, but for a healthy planet, we need to start putting greater emphasis on the human dimension of our vision for the future. And I always like to quote this wonderful line that I read in a paper by Andrew Wright et al., published in 2015. And in there they say, "Without the ability to influence human behavior, a conservationist's role will likely be limited to that of describing the loss of biodiversity and the decline of the environment." And it couldn't be more true. So
that just gave me chills. You're right. Wow.
Yes. So that's why people are a very important component of all the conservation work we do.
I love that. So important. So you've collaborated with so many different communities over the years. What is your reaction to the increasing conversations about encouraging diversity in the environmental space?
Acknowledging and understanding the diversity in people's attitudes, beliefs, socioeconomic status, their ambitions, the culture, politics, etc., within which one is trying to protect the environment and build a conservation strategy is absolutely fundamental to conservation success. Conservation will only succeed when these diverse perspectives and peoples can align and agree to common goals. And for this to happen, there has to be respect and tolerance and patience for the diversity of peoples that share the one and the same planet. And I work in, as you know, in many different countries and cultures, from governments to NGOs to local communities on the beach. And within each of these different contexts and in each country, I have to understand all the local ingredients that result in a successful conservation recipe. So yes, diversity is key to success.
Absolutely. So your work has taken you all over the world, and we have already heard some cool stories, but can you share a favorite memory from your travels?
Oh, that's a difficult question because I have so many favorite memories, but I thought I would share one that has implication also for how we do conservation. So after I finished graduate school, one of the first projects was, and in fact still is, the leatherback project in Papua, Indonesia. And this is a big responsibility to be the scientific and technical advisor to this project, because as you know, in the Pacific, the leatherback population has declined by over 90%. And Papua hosts the largest nesting aggregation of leatherbacks in the Pacific. So on my first long boat ride out there to this very remote beach, my Indonesian colleagues warned me that I shouldn't tell the local villagers that I am from India. And if asked, I should tell them I am from Sri Lanka. So I thought this was very strange, till it was explained to me that in the 1980s, an Indian sea turtle researcher had come out to survey these beaches, and he had flipper tagged the leatherbacks. And in the years that followed after his visit, the villagers observed a drop in the number of leatherbacks that were coming to their beaches. And they were convinced that this Indian researcher had gone back to India and with a large magnet was attracting all their leatherbacks to India, because otherwise, why did he put metal tags on them otherwise? So in the guise of a Sri Lankan, I arrived at the field camp and I was welcomed with a delicious dinner of juicy shrimp. And I indulged myself with a guilt-free conscience, knowing that they had not been caught by trawlers. And so we had shrimp for dinner, we had shrimp for lunch, we had shrimp the next day, until I decided to ask what traditional method had been used to catch these shrimp. And the local fisherman looked at me and he said, "Oh, I threw insecticide in the water and then scooped up all the dead shrimp." And I was horrified, and he didn't understand my shock and horror. And he said to me, "Oh, insecticide is for insects and it does not harm humans. And madam, you are not an insect, so don't be worried." And I then realized that however one may choose to judge the local logic, this was the reality within which the grim decline in this leatherback population had to be addressed. But it was a very memorable lesson to learn.
Wow, that is a great story. So I love that a component of Ocean Ecology Network is the Ocean Music Project. Can you tell our audience a little bit more about that project and explain about how involving art and creativity in your work helps you achieve those conservation goals?
I have always been enchanted by the music I have heard on the beaches in different countries, and I have recorded them whenever possible. And so the music compiled so far ranges from fishermen in a Sierra Leone village singing using an empty whiskey bottle, a wooden box, and a two-string guitar as their musical instruments, all the way to a local community man in Odisha in India who composed his own song, and he would sing it every night when he patrolled the beaches. And so these recordings have developed into the Ocean Music Project, and we are looking to find ways to promote conservation in these countries through their music. Because one thing I have learned is that we have to find different ways to make conservation appeal to different people, and art and music are powerful tools for that as well.
So powerful. It's the universal language. I love it.
Yes.
Oh. So last question for you. What would you say to people who love the ocean, but don't really know how to protect their special place?
Well, I would say that we can all play our part in very simple ways and in the choices we make in our daily lives, regardless of where we live. For example, minimizing the use of plastics, selecting reef-safe sunscreen, or any other product that we use in our daily life, whether cosmetics, laundry detergent, cleaning liquids, etc., etc. And just make sure that these ingredients don't have anything that negatively impact our waterways and oceans. Another way is to select sustainably and ethically caught seafood that is not endangered. One should buy clothes from brands that are not polluting the environment. So essentially, it's about selecting earth-friendly and sustainable options. And it all comes down to understanding that our choices have an impact on the environment. And minimizing negative impacts is a very effective contribution to the protection of the environment, no matter where you live.
Thank you so much. This was wonderful. And how can folks reach out to you and support your work?
People can definitely go to our website, oceanecology.org, and we have listed different ways that people can support projects that Ocean Ecology is involved with. It's not just through donations of money. We certainly welcome donations of money. They can do that and specify which of our projects they would like it to go towards. But we also welcome other types of donations. Like if you shop on Amazon, Amazon has a program called Amazon Smile. So they can make sure that Amazon Smile is linked to their account. So every time they purchase something, Amazon donates a percentage of the money to Ocean Ecology Network. It doesn't cost you anything. It's just an Amazon contribution. We also invite people to donate clothes, field equipment, etc., because I work in very poor communities, and things that we may not want but are in good condition mean a lot to a lot of people out there. So certainly there are many ways that one could help Ocean Ecology Network.
Well, thank you so much. This was so wonderful, and hope you have a great rest of your day.